A ton of people want to make money on the internet via social media, growing their social media accounts, gaining a following, and then in some form or fashion monetizing said following. And I have seen a ton of people try, and often the move is to replicate other people's content and look at what's already succeeding and try to copy that in some way, but with your own spin on it. Realistically, when it comes to humanity now, there is very little that we can do that somebody has never done before, for example. But the thing that I see a lot, and I think that this is the biggest costly mistake that a ton of people make, and realistically, it's one where you're gonna make it no matter what you do. This is a mistake that you will make when you first start making videos because it's something you've never done before. Content creation, people often do not talk about, is not just whatever it is that you're making the topic on. For example, if you're a gamer, being good at games is not good enough that you're going to succeed. If you're somebody that is into fitness, being good at the gym isn't enough to succeed on social media. You need to have a bucket load of other skills. And all of these skills, if we use the gym analogy again, it's all about putting your reps in and getting good at those. And so that one skill here that I'm talking about is something that I feel like I've gotten pretty good at right now, and you are listening to me do right now. And it's speaking to a camera in a good way. Also, if you guys haven't already, if you could drop me a subscribe, that'd be awesome. This account hit like 500 subscribers in like a day. That was pretty cool. And I've got some pretty decent views on my first like 3 videos, considering it's the first 3 videos on the account. It's awesome. Thank you. So if you could subscribe, that'd be awesome. I've got 3 accounts now on YouTube, which it feels like I'm doing TikTok all over again. So that means 3 potential silver play buttons one day. That'd be pretty mental. But speaking on camera. Speaking on camera is different to speaking to somebody stood right in front of you. It's not necessarily that you want it's a difficult one to get, and it's really hard to explain, but you kind of have to, you're speaking at the camera, not to the camera, not to someone. If you speak at someone, they'll get annoyed at you. Like, we've all been in a room with somebody who doesn't seem to ever be listening to anything we say and isn't really responding to the input that we're giving them. They're just like spouting stuff at us. That's annoying. But on social media, it's a one-way street. Right now, I'm just speaking to a camera. And trust me, when you first start doing this, it feels a little bit mental. Like, if we're talking about reality, I spend an ungodly amount of hours in my office every single day speaking to this camera. And it looks a bit mental. For example, here's one for you. I stand in front of this window with the blinds open so that I get the natural light in, right? And yesterday, while I was stood here filming, my neighbour was down there, in his garden of course, measuring up for something or whatever. And my window was open because my room gets pretty warm, regardless of the time of year. I looked insane. I looked crazy. Because I'm just stood here holding a camera up, waffling on. But it's a skill that you're going to have to learn. And in reality, no one's first video are they good at talking to a camera. You have to project your voice, because if you just sort of speak the way like that you might speak to someone that stood in front of you, it's going to struggle. And here's something else that I personally struggle with, and if I point this out, you'll never stop seeing it in my videos. Eye contact with the camera. So right now, below the camera, the lens that you guys are seeing me through, is a little preview screen with me on it. Like, everything you guys are seeing right now is on a little preview screen right there. And I'm staring at me right now, but it's really obvious that I'm not looking at you anymore. That's kind of a difficult one to get your head around as well. There's different kinds of cameras, and they have different methods of getting around this. Let me show you a different kind of camera, because the camera that I'm filming on right now isn't your regular camera. I'll show you in a sec. You're going to be more accustomed to seeing a camera that looks something along the lines of this, right? So if you were seeing me through that lens, there'd be a preview of me there, and I could just tuck that away. Usually you don't want to tuck it away because it's helpful to be able to see what's in your scene. This is the camera that I use to make all of these videos. If you look at the shadow that's on my sofa down here, you can just about see it. It's very small. It is smaller than a phone, or at least smaller than most phones. I don't have an iPhone Pro Max, I've got the regular Pro, and it's smaller than that. So it's perfect for people like me that often film on the go. So for example, last month I went to Florence, Italy, and I took my camera with me, and it was pretty easy to vlog it because it's really inconspicuous. It'd be really annoying to have to carry around a full-on DSLR, and it'd be very obvious what you're doing. Whereas I saw maybe 3 other people with one of these while we were out, and that was pretty cool. Like, we were at some like fancy ass dinner eating steak or whatever, and I spotted some people that were very clearly influencers based upon the fact that they had extra lights lighting their food, and they had one of these cameras on a little tripod pointed at their meal. And if it wasn't for the lights, because of how dark the room is, most people wouldn't have known. Whereas if you had like a full-size camera on a tripod, like a full-on tripod, with these you can get a little thing that plugs into the bottom and it'll sit flat. Anyway, look at the lens, not the screen when you're filming yourself. Fake it till you make it is a apt saying in a ton of different positions in life, but it is very important when it comes to making videos. You will never see somebody who's succeeded on social media with tons of subscribers. Like, you know, if you go and watch somebody right now with over 100,000 subscribers, I promise you that when they speak to the camera, they don't sound all timid, and they're not like stuttering over their words a lot, and they're not having massive pauses between their words. They're speaking from their chest. They're talking at you, because as weird as it is to talk at someone, because you'd never do it to somebody that stood in front of you, when it comes to the camera, you kind of have to. You have to be engaging. And that's another one, is be engaging. Don't have those big gaps between words. We live in a society where, because of apps like TikTok, and it is, shoot myself over this, is attention spans are in the bin. Generally, we struggle to keep people on our videos. It's why for the majority of fast-paced edits and things like that, it's why they exist. That is a skill that I don't have, because I don't particularly enjoy editing. I like the talking aspect. Like, I never script out my videos. This video wasn't scripted. I knew the topic idea that I wanted to cover. I picked up the camera and I started speaking. That's just how I do all of my videos. When I script something out, it doesn't feel as natural to me. I don't have the same skill with written word that I do with spoken word, and therefore I just don't do written word. So often I see it where in the first few seconds of a video, even especially on short form content like on TikTok, where it matters even more than anywhere else, the first few seconds people won't speak, or they'll or they'll or they'll skip over something they're meant to say. Or basically, on social media, it's called a hook, right? The first few seconds of every video that you have is a hook. You have a few seconds to stop somebody leaving your video. On YouTube, it is easier because of the fact that if you are watching this right now, you chose me. Love you. You picked me. You had a bunch of other videos in your subscription box, on your homepage, or in your suggested videos. You saw my video, something about it interested you, you clicked it. You gave me a chance, right? You chose me. That's not how TikTok works. That's not how all the short form algorithms work, like shorts and reels. On there, you're scrolling, and the app is presenting you the content, and therefore it is nothing to the follower to go, nope, nope, nope. So you've got a few seconds to do something in your video that stops them from scrolling away. And that is still a thing on YouTube as well. The majority of people will still usually click away from your video in the first 30 seconds. Like, we're about 5 minutes into this video now. I presume that my retention rating at 5 minutes into this video is probably about 40%. About 60% of the people that clicked on the video at the start got bored and left. Bye guys. Probably because I didn't necessarily speak about money. But the thing is this account, I want to do what I am good. This account is not going to be about how to use stocks and shares to make loads of money right now, because I don't know how to do that. I'm a firm believer in trying to stay in my own lane and talk about things that I actually understand. The S&P 500 and how to invest in that and all that sort of thing is very basic entry-level finance stuff. It's not financial advice. It's just, you look at the statistics in terms of the last half a century and it's a logical decision to make. This is what I do. You guys have your own money and your own decisions to make. But what I do know about, and what I am very good at, is growing social media. Check this out, for example. These are my 5 monetized TikTok accounts. This doesn't include the fact that since I created this picture, I grew a YouTube channel to 20,000 subscribers, and my Instagram went from 29,000 subscribers to nearly 70,000 followers. This is TikTok alone, right? This was back in April. I made this as part of my How to Grow Your Social Media ebooks. So back in April, I made some How to Grow Your Social Media ebooks. There's like 3 of them. They're all very, very similar. And there's one that's broadly generalized in terms of how to grow. And then there's 2 others that are a little bit more specific, one for fitness, one for gaming. Realistically, I would only recommend getting one of the 3 because they're going to be so similar. Yeah. But anyway, I made those, and as it's called social proof. I say I'm good at a thing, I then need to back thing up. So this is me backing that up, right? I have 5 accounts, and this was 6 months ago. So that's my original fitness account, that's my original gaming account, that's my vlogging account that became a bit of a gaming account, and that is basically Cayle Vlogs is where I do anything I please. And then More Cayle Players and Cayle Players are both gaming accounts. Those are their follow accounts back in April. I remade this the other day just for a comparison's sake. If we look, everything is up except for my fitness account. My fitness account has lost about 3.5 thousand followers, so 453 down to 449. However, if we look at all of the others, I'll explain why they lost in a minute. Cayle Talks is now at 247.9 and was at 233, so that's what, 14,000 up? Cayle Vlogs 6 months ago was at 121,500, and as of making this, is at 168,300. And this was only made about a day or 2 ago and is now also, again, inaccurate because I've gained another 700 followers since that. And then Cayle Plays is currently on 39,000 and was on 32,000. and more Cayle plays was on 11.9 thousand and is now on 33,000. I did the maths, and that is net up 80,000 followers across the 5 accounts in the last 6 months. And that's including the loss on the Cayle PT account. And the reason that I lost on Cayle PT account is because that is my oldest account. It is 4 years old, and I have probably posted barely anything to it in the last 2 years. For the last 2 years, my priorities have laid within things. There's something called eggs and baskets and spreading your time and too thin. Basically, there are only so many hours in a day, and the more things that you have to focus on, the less any one of them will obtain a good amount of focus to be successful in. Typically, the way that I do things is I will have an obsessive phase with certain things, get them to a point that they're pretty self-sustaining usually, and then obsess over something else and put that one on maintenance mode. This is a thing in business generally, is people with like regular businesses will still do this. Well, they'll have key areas that for a set time frame they're going to focus laser beam vision mode on, and then have to put other things on like maintenance mode. Everything can't always be on progress mode. For example, right now, 5 TikToks, 3 YouTube channels, and an Instagram is what I currently have in total. And it would be nigh impossible for me to laser vision focus on all of them because A, I'd burn out, B, there's only so many hours in a day, and C, who's got the anything to make that happen. So yeah, across these accounts, I have made well over 10,000 videos. It's at this point, I'm pretty sure it was about 10,000 videos between the accounts like 2 years ago. It is now probably like 20,000 because I just don't stop posting. I spend all day making videos because realistically, as long as it works to plan, the more videos you post, the more views you get, the more money you earn. It is the fun grind of social media. The more effort you put in, the more effort you can put out, and it's why I'm so motivated. It's fun. And the one thing that all of these accounts have in common is that I am on camera speaking. Even in the videos where I'm not on camera speaking, I'm still speaking. There is that human element. There are a lot of people that will try and help you grow on social media without ever showing your face, and it'll be totally faceless, and you're probably using AI to repurpose other people's content and all that sort of thing. That is not what I do. Some people have made it work for sure, but I think that the vast majority of people are not going to succeed long term. And if you want this to actually be a career, you need to be speaking on camera and showing your face. And for a lot of people, that is difficult. I used to hate it. I've told the story before about how a decade ago I wanted to be a YouTuber, but I was very insecure a decade ago. I was small, fat, and a squeaker. Now, I'm a little bit more confident. You know, I don't care as much anymore. And you won't care either. This is the thing, is nobody starts out confident. Again, I'll keep using analogies to previous businesses and things that I've done in my life. If we use the gym example, as a personal trainer, you will encounter 1,000,001 people who do not like going to the gym, right? A lot of personal trainers get into it assuming that they're going to be personal training other people that love the gym, and that is not how that works. The majority of regular fit people that hire a personal trainer do so because they want the fastest route from A to B, and don't exactly enjoy going to the gym. People that enjoy going to the gym, people that wake up every day and are motivated to go to the gym, typically are not the sorts of people that then have to pay somebody to be accountable to them to make sure that they go to the gym. Do you know what I mean? But something that we tell these people all the time, people that are uncomfortable in a gym scenario, is just keep going. I promise you that if you can just, to this person that's afraid of going to the gym, and hopefully maybe this inspires some of you guys to get in the gym. If you're somebody that hates going to the gym because you feel like you're judged, you feel like you don't belong, you feel like you don't know what you're doing, these feelings all go away with time. If you spent a month going 4 times a week, however many times a week you plan to go, say you look at your schedule and you go, I can definitely go 4 times a week. Okay, cool, that's fine. Go 4 times a week. I promise you that once you've been going 4 times a week, performing a set plan 4 times a week, you knew what you were doing before you walked in there because it was written down what you had to do. And all you had to do was walk machine to machine, exercise to exercise, whatever, and perform said exercise, and then move on to the next thing on your list and just tick boxes. Everything is a box ticking exercise when you boil it down. That's how I manage to make things work, is I turn things into box ticking exercises and make sure the boxes have been ticked every day. But if they can do that for a month, doing every session and just making it a part of their habits and make it a non-negotiable, make it something that I don't feel like it today, doesn't even weigh in. It's like I've allocated that hour to that, I'm going. Once you've been doing that for a month, you will feel a lot more at home. You won't feel that anxiety about people looking at you anymore because they won't be. You will realize that they're not, and you'll be just fine. And it's the same thing with making videos. When you first start making videos, you're not going to be very confident because typically it's again the faking it till you make it thing. Eventually you probably don't have to fake it because you have made it. And in that case, you can speak confidently with your chest, with your proudness. I can confidently say I am good at social media because I have done it in so many different ways and times, you know? I can say that. But if you've just started, you can't say that. And therefore, you're not going to sound as confident when you speak about it. And that's sort of how everybody begins social media. I promise you, I think it was Mr. Beast or something that said that your first 100 videos are going to be awful, no matter what you do. No matter how much time you put in, no matter how much preparation you put in, no matter how many people you listen to about how to grow your social medias, your first 100 videos are going to be awful. But it's all about putting the reps in. Your first 100 sessions at the gym might not be that productive because you might not really be able to train hard enough for them to be productive. But it was all about building the habits so that you can succeed down the line. This will be an interesting exercise. Let's go and watch my first video. First video I ever posted on TikTok. And remember, when you first post a video, you're not assuming that anyone's ever going to see it because people probably won't. The majority of views on a first video will come down the line if you ever do succeed, because there are people that will scroll back and just have a look what it was. It's why a lot of YouTube creators, especially the ones that have been doing this for a long time, will unlist or private their older videos that weren't as good because they're not going to be as good. Let's go watch it, shall we? And I want you to pay attention to just how different I come across in the video, how much more potentially timid or less, what's the word? Less speaking with my chest, talking at you, you know? Okay, so check this out. So here, it's the topic of the video is about how I'm a qualified personal trainer, but the qualification to become a personal trainer really doesn't mean a lot because of the quality of the personal training course and just how many people are able to get the personal training qualification without really being actually capable of successfully personal training people. That was the topic of the video. This was late 2020, middle of lockdown. Sat in my old room in my mum's house. I've got my phone on a tripod. What did I say about where I'm looking? Straight away, I'm looking at myself and not the camera. We do that often. Funny thing is I'm using a ring light in this video that I still own today. That ring light over there, I'm using my mouse to point at it. That ring light over there is over 4 years old, cost me like 12 quid on Amazon and is never broken. I don't know, it's the best piece of tat I've ever bought. Anyway, let's take a listen. So I'm a qualified personal trainer and I have been for a few years, and it's not a title I'm exactly proud of because it's not one that is difficult to earn. Anyone can become a qualified personal trainer in 4 to 8 weeks. Some qualifications will take longer and some can take even less time, and it requires no prior knowledge. I can genuinely say that there is nothing that I learned on my qualification 2 years ago that I didn't already know prior to undertaking it. There were people on that course who, at the end of the qualification, still had no right in telling people what to do with their bodies and what to do with their training because they just had no idea. And this is why I don't want. This is why there is a problem with the amount of people telling you what to do in the gym who are qualified but have no idea what they're talking about. But because they're qualified, normal people don't know any better and will just listen and do it, even if they're just absolutely wasting their time and, in some cases, their money. Okay, so does anyone feel like I look younger now, despite the fact that I really need a shave? Because I feel like I've aged in reverse. Still have my acne though. That never went away. Cheers, lads. Doctors were like, oh yeah, it's genetic. It'll go when you age. I'm 26 and it's still there. I was like 22 there, something like that. I'm not sure. But notice how that was all in one take. I didn't cut out any of the bits where I waffled. You could see the cogs turning behind my eyes when I looked away and I paused for a split second. I didn't speak to the camera. I didn't speak at the camera. I was speaking to the camera. I wasn't as projecty. I wasn't anywhere near as fast paced because I didn't understand the whole attention span thing. Every time I pause and look away and don't speak, that was another opportunity for people to scroll on. The camera angle, the view that you are seeing remains stagnant the entire time. That is bad for attention spans too. Again, it's a mistake that I make right now. Right now, the majority of the clips that you guys are seeing from this video have been me stood here like this. The best hope is the fact that I'm at least holding the camera with my hand and therefore there is some movement. It's why, for example, right now something that's performing quite well on social media is videos on the go. If I film a video where I'm out and about and actively moving, that is more engaging to the human psyche and there's something psychological that will keep people on the video. Whereas if 90% of what they're seeing on the screen remains the same through a video, they're more likely to get bored and click off. It's why when you watch other people do videos where they're vlogging to a camera like this, typically they'll intersplice B-roll, they'll have other things, they'll change the camera angle, you know what I mean? I don't like doing that because I like to keep it raw. These videos are very minimally edited. The majority of the editing is simply just me clicking stop and start record in between the things that I say so that I know what I'm going to say next, because that way I'm not sat here going, right, you know what I mean? Realistically though, I don't even think that was an awful attempt when it came to a first video. Again, I'm like 20,000 videos down the line from that one. So like my ability to speak on camera can only improve, and that's because I've put in the reps. If we were to estimate how many hours of my life have been spent talking to myself in a room with a camera in front of me, it's probably enough to get me like stuck in some sort of clinic forever. Like it's a ridiculous amount of time. But it's just one of them where you put the reps in and it improves. Or in some instances, I've seen people making videos for years and it does not improve and they wonder why they're not growing. And it's because their 1000th video looks like it still could have been there first. Remember, and this is probably the biggest takeaway you're going to get from this video, is all of the platforms that you could possibly post to, whether it's Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, YouTube Longs like this video here, what they all care the most about is engagement, right? The longer you keep a viewer on the platform, the more the website will get paid because the more adverts they are going to see. That means that you have to do everything in your power to keep people on your video. Because if you can keep people in your video through whatever methods, and there are millions and millions of methods, what that actually means is that your video will do better. The more of you that are, for example, we're nearing the end of this video now, we're probably over 15 minutes in, I think, and that means that if you're still here, that is a good retention rating. If I can get a lot of people who watch this video to still be here, YouTube will go, people like that video, let's push it out to more people. And then you end up with more views. I make more money if I get more views, or I will do when this account is monetized. I want to try and get it monetized before December, by the way, because December is a big money month when it comes to YouTube, because ad spends go way up. I'll always be very transparent with you guys about money. A big thing that I think is very cool about this account that you guys are watching now is because it is focused around making money and making success on social media, it should pay fairly well because your RPM on videos like this should be way higher than a gaming RPM. RPM is what you get paid per 1,000 views, by the way. And because it's a topic I'm very passionate about, it's very easy for me to just keep making these videos and keep talking and keep waffling. And I hope that it's helpful. Like, I hope that at some point somebody messaged me going, I did the things that you said and now I'm growing and succeeding. Cool. Like I said, I've got my social media fitness guides and all that sort of social media guides and all that sort of thing in my bio, but I'm going to be covering everything from those on this channel over time. It's just that there you can pay 25 quid and have it ready for you all at once and actually be able to search through it. Whereas here, I ramble for 20 to 30 minutes at a time and you might have to search through a variety of different videos to cover all the same stuff. But those with a good attention span will still learn it all. But the good thing about humans, and again, this is a selling thing again, historically, we know this because of just school, education. Humans don't take things in and like set them in their head until they've heard them more than once. It usually takes repetition. It's why another piece of advice to content creators is don't be afraid to repeat yourself. Don't be able to look at right. Here's a task for you. When you're done here, if you're interested in growing your social medias, you probably are at least aware of or have seen other YouTubers that make videos about how to do such a thing. If you look at their last 20 videos and compare it to the previous 20 videos, I promise you, it is around about the same things being said and covered in all of them. You just rotate through. Because if a video gets a few hundred views, it'll be a different few hundred people every time. And even if it isn't, that few hundred people will need to hear the few things like 100 times before it really is set in their brain. Anyway, that whole spiel was because, in my opinion, the best way you're going to keep people on your video is by speaking in an engaging way that makes people want to watch more. Every time you pause, every time you stutter, every time all that sort of thing, you're giving somebody an opportunity to click off. That's what you're doing. Regardless of the type of video, regardless of the niche, again, it doesn't matter what kind of content you're going to make. You have got to find a way to make that content in such a way that keeps people around. Personally, I think that being able to develop a voice and a skill with speaking is going to be the best way. I believe that is one of the reasons that I have been able to grow social medias on so many different platforms in so many different niches, whether it be playing games, collecting games, vlogging, fitness, or social media growth. I've been able to do decently well in each one of them, and I think it's because of how I speak. My mother and I sound dramatically different because we're from Warsaw. I'm supposed to have a Warsaw accent, but for some reason I just don't. And it has probably helped me when it comes to being able to make videos like this because I sound posh. I'm not posh, I promise, but I sound posh. And that's probably going to help me when it comes to making videos like this, especially because people are more likely to take a perceived posh person's advice on things. They just are. It's humanity. But all while I was a kid, my mom would always say that I've got the gift of the gab, I've got the gift of speech, and that I need to somehow use my ability to speak to earn me decent money because I didn't go to uni, I failed college, I worked at Tesco for years, I had like no prospects. I was, for all intent and purposes, failing in life until I started putting my voice to work or my ability to speak to work when it comes to making videos. And not everybody is born with an ability to speak, and like I said, doesn't matter if you were or not, because it's a skill to pick up speaking to a camera in such a way. There are plenty of people that can speak to you one-to-one and be incredibly confident and be good at it, but then they make a video and they don't sound it. I can't tell you the number of people that over the last few years I've encountered in person. They've told me they want to do content creation for a job, and they sound and look the part like they could do it in person, but then I see their first video and they're not speaking the way that I expected them to speak. They sound timid and all that sort of thing. And again, it's because your first 100 videos, you're probably going to sound like that no matter what you do. But if you put in enough reps and you do it over time, you just get better at it. Anything that you practice, anything that you do consistently for a decent amount of time, success then becomes inevitable. If you keep going, if you keep grinding, keep looking for little things to improve upon, keep getting better, keep getting more confident, keep speaking, and just doing this, you improve. And again, all of these videos that I'm making on this account, I hope are motivational. I hope that it helps somebody in some way. I hope that someone looks at this and goes, I can do that. I can do that. So yeah, that'll do for today. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in a bit.